Hey everybody, welcome to another Rascal Reviews. It's been quite a while since I've done the last one, unless you just watched the ones I did for Superhero Month. So today it's going to be something a little different. And it's more of a discussion of how did a fandom spawn from some concept art of an animated movie. And joining me finally again is Mama Entertainment, aka SoFan.
Hello. It may be difficult for you, but not for me.
So this has been a sort of debate, but it really isn't, for months now. Ever since Wish released its concept art and then the movie, there's been this kind of sort of divide on what was better. Majority of people like what the concept art show, what was the first idea for the movie. And there are some who generally like the movie for what it was and don't want any of the ideas they wanted because they're satisfied with no romance, no evil queen, none of that, and they like what Disney's doing right now. No
business stress.
Right? And so really the discussion here is, how did a fandom not go to the movie itself, but to its concept art? Because the closest thing I've seen that happen to was with Zootopia. And the difference is with Zootopia, we still love the movie, but there are a lot of people that love the Jack Savage spy animal idea for a film. They really loved that idea and wish they had used that too. But instead of just taking away Zootopia, they wish they had done it like a spin-off or something in the same universe and still use that idea.
True. Well, for those of you who love the wish that we got, that's fine.
Yeah, please know we're not hating on anybody.
That are upset that we like the concept art, I have one question. Why do you care?
And I don't
okay
understand
for me that you like the movie that we got. I'm not
fine,
angry with you for liking it. So why are you angry with us for loving the concept art? It's not a competition.
No.
You lose.
Right. I don't really understand why there was so much heat over it. And the weird part is that there are more people who I see something like on Twitter, not YouTube or anything, but more people like some on Twitter and other social media sites that are more angry that people won't stop talking about the concept art. And the response is, be grateful you got this movie at all. They could have just never made it and canceled it. Be grateful that you got anything, period. Just shut up and enjoy the movie and realize that you were wrong about it.
Nope.
And it's like, but it's not that serious. It's a movie. I just like the concept better because it's all the stuff that you wanted in the classic Disney films. And then they had every excuse in the book not to use any of it.
Do you know how great this concept art is? That even if it had decided to make Wish, and then like they've done other movies, cancel the movie, which we wouldn't have cared. If they had released the concept art after that, they still would have this fandom. The fandom was inevitable. As long as we saw the concept art, the fandom was going to exist. So I don't have to be grateful for that Wish movie because I personally don't like it. If we never got it, I wouldn't care. And because they still would release the concept art like they always do, and there still would have been a fandom, and we still would be going, why couldn't we have gotten this movie? It wouldn't be any different.
There was a concept art book for Strange World, and no one liked that, so why not? So it really came down to this because it's been, let's see, the Wish came out in November 2023 for the 100th anniversary of Disney. And you already know how that went majorly bad for this company. And as we said, the concept art book was released before the movie came out. They sort of did it in reverse order, trying to jump on some sales before the movie came out.
Probably because of the 7-minute special that was outstanding. And people were excited, and they said, you know what? Let's release the concept art for the movie that's coming up. Not letting us know that, guess what? 90% of what's in this book is not going to be in the movie. Psych! But they release it, I guess, thinking they were going to get sales.
I think so.
Based on the feel-good movement that was going and the hopes we had of Disney getting back to what made it great. That's not going to happen soon with the same people in charge.
Oh, no. And with that, like I said, the movie came out, and they were having lots of merch and promotion and interviews and music videos. They were really, this is one of the few times Disney was on top of making plenty of advertisements for this film, because they really made a big deal celebrating the company's anniversary. And in a way, of course, we were excited too, because like you said, we love Once Upon a Studio. We loved a lot of Disney classics. Doesn't mean we hate Disney all of a sudden because we didn't like this movie and Strange World and some others. There's plenty of movies that were made decades ago we don't care for, and there's plenty made decades ago and now that we really love, whether it be from the major Walt Disney Studio or Pixar. So there's no hate on Disney.
Or the
you
now
just
canceled Blue Sky.
Right. So there's no hate on Disney. It's the hate on the direction they're going, and them choosing to literally not listen to the audience. They're telling you need to make these changes because people are leaving. The response is the audience is the problem that doesn't like it, so you need to leave and get more people that agree with us.
Well, that's funny because when you think about some of the major blockbusters like the Sonic movie, and you told me recently when the Monkey Kid came out and they had season 5 footage and people hated it, that they corrected their mistakes. Well, it looks like some people actually listen to the audience.
Yes.
And they get to take our money and we give it to them with joy. But Disney seems more concerned about pushing agendas and not being what they once were. It's almost like the executives and the people in charge now hate what Walt Disney stood for. And they
that's
no
been a lot of
longer
people
want that to be what the company's about. Well, then you need to change the company name from Walt Disney. You need to
just
change
say
it.
Disney, period.
No, just change it. Because if you're running away from what made it great,
and trying to fix everything,
be a part of what he brought about to the world that still is lasting over 100 years later, then you need to not call it Disney. The only reason you keep calling it Disney is because of brand recognition.
Yeah, and that's what the theme of the movie was.
You don't want the brand to be what Disney is about.
And
so it's almost like, it's insane. It's like
a paradox.
Yes.
And that's what people felt like with the movie before they knew about the book and it was just out. A lot of people felt something was missing from the film. It was such an underwhelming experience, feeling like this shouldn't be what we get for 100 years of entertainment from something that's brought joy to generations of people. And when you start seeing the concept, now we can get more into the concept itself. A lot of the ideas were reminiscent of Disney films. And when they were storyboarding the original film, they felt like the original Disney with, yes, having the villain couple was something different, but the dialogue and the vibe and stuff felt like the classic villains you love, where they were just evil, not sympathetic, not plot twist, not generational trauma, just a straight up villain. And when you had the Starboy included, yes, of course, you really wanted that ship because you've been begging for one now. And when Star could speak and could shapeshift and everything, when you saw the lead scene, people said they kept going back to it because it felt like they were watching a Disney film as a kid. And throughout the entire sequences that they show from the original version, there are references all throughout the scenes and lines and dialogue, but they weren't just putting it in your face and telling you what the reference is and people just kind of just groaning in annoyance. They were fun and you could just see what they were using like every other minute, and they were really fun experiences. Now imagine if that was the whole movie.
No, I'm still sticking to the concept. The concept art reflected what Walt Disney wanted the studio and the work to always be about. So it's the same thing. Someone decided, no, we don't want this to represent us and to reflect us.
Understand.
And we don't care that there are more people loving this. We're just not going to have it. And I'm going to say it again. It's the people who were in charge on this movie. Watch the special features behind the scenes and you'll see that they have no desire for any of this. It's almost as if they're in a bubble. And they're saying,
that's actually ironic.
We know you see this book. And we know you see what the movie really was supposed to be about. But this is what we want it to be about. Now, believe us or your lying eyes.
Right.
And I'm going to take my lying eyes with the concept art.
Right.
And animatics and all of that.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that.
Right. And now, here's the thing. If the concept art really was just something where people were getting too attached to it because they're trying to cope with the movie and everyone's saying using they were robbed of something wonderful. Why was there such a huge lean towards this concept art? They could have easily done like Strange World and other movies where it's like, oh wow, this sucked. It could have been something better. And then they were done. Strange World, that's what happened. They didn't like it. Some didn't even go see it. Some that did were bored out of their mind. They told you they didn't like it. We turned it off. And they just walked away and then barely speak about it unless you have to bring up his existence for some reason. With Wish, they only talk about the concept art for the ones who did not care for the movie. There's even some that did like the movie, but still wanted the concept art because it had more to it. Mm-hmm. The movie we got felt like it was just surface level. They stripped away everything that the writers and artists had built up in here, and then made it very easy to make. Told the songwriter, got 2 weeks to make 5 songs and throw them in the movie. Not going to give you much of a description. You're just going to have to work with what you got. Don't do 2D animation. Do a stylized thing. It doesn't look stylized. It looks flat. Throw in stuff, make something marketable. I think they thought this was going to be an easy win by doing the most minimal effort. And they claim, well, Disney did simple movies in the beginning, so we're going to do a simple movie this way by not having any flair, anything new. Let's not do anything different. We're going to play it safe and just do bare minimum and make maximum profit. And for some, they did like the bare minimum. But for a lot of people, they gravitated towards this concept art because when you're looking at all this stuff they said, it has so much more detail, and every time people go back, they find more and more of the original story and what the ideas were and the references and the shout-outs, and they just keep loving it more because they keep seeing all that work they were putting into it.
2 things about that. One, the movies were simple because it was the beginning of animation and him creating something that didn't exist. So, of course, it was simple. Mm. By necessity, it couldn't be anything but what it was until he developed into what it became. Right. So I'm sorry, that's a stupid argument. The second thing is, where the heck did $200 million go? That's what I want to know. Because it wasn't this movie. You can look at this movie and tell, I'm sorry, it did not take $200 million to make this movie.
It couldn't have.
It did not. It just looks like people pocketed money.
Sorry.
Or they had the movie done, and because they decided to start all over because they didn't want it to be what it was, they wasted more money with reanimation and, as you said, making more songs and things. But you can look and see this was not a $200 million movie. Unfortunately. And they said it lost $131 million. Well, my guess is if you take $200 million and subtract $131,000, I honestly believe that's what it took to make that movie.
Most likely. Most likely, yes. And now when we're seeing this, it's the first time I've seen them where...
Which would be $69 million.
Right,
which looks about like what this movie was
should have been, yeah.
And it still looks like the price tag is too high. There wasn't anything in it groundbreaking, new.
No.
Animation wasn't new. Characters
and
weren't
scary
new. Story wasn't new.
No.
Songs.
No. Yeah, you're right. Nothing was new. Just the idea itself, when you heard it, all of us were excited.
Well, I mean, the wish we got.
Yeah,
the concept. So what happened to all that money? Because you couldn't even give the girl a dress at the end of the movie that was a princess dress.
Right.
Maybe they were saying, well, since she's not a princess, she didn't deserve
by royalty,
one.
Yeah.
It's just, there's just so much wrong with this that the concept art made right.
Yeah. And when we first heard about the trailer and the movie itself, we were excited. We were like, okay, Once Upon a Studio was so great. They've been having really good TV shows recently with Amphibia and Owl House and stuff. Maybe this movie finally going to turn things around. We were excited as everyone else. Just didn't know what to make, what else after we saw more trailers. And the more we started hearing this stuff, the more we were a little concerned. But we were like, okay, we're going to stick to our guns and watch the film. Then someone posted the concept art of what it originally was. And then it was all over because it was all the stuff people were asking for to bring back to Disney films. And the fact they had it.
And the animatics.
And the animatics.
Really just sent it over.
Yes.
I did it. The animatics really did.
Yes. They showed 4 or 5 deleted scenes from the original version of the movie. And they were all told a much better story in less than 5 minutes or less than a 95-minute movie. Then on top of that, people love the idea of Starboy not just so much, there have been tons of animatics that were made from scratch, mind you. They didn't go and copy anything. They went and made this themselves to bring different music videos of the song At All Costs to life and doing fan art and stuff specifically for the concept art. Now, for me, it makes me think, if they really hated something so much or they're really just doing something out of spite, you don't get that much art and joy and fun and creativity and stuff from something you hate. If for the people that did not like Wish, they did nothing with it. They told you what they thought and they moved on. And then they started making stuff they wanted to see with the concept art. And now people are making their own things that they want to see, which is exactly what people said. If you don't like it, go make it yourself. Because now we got a bunch of people making their own stuff. I made my own rewrite. And now you got a whole group of people making a remade film with a different name. And they're making their own Wish movie from scratch. So we're doing exactly what you asked.
So my last comment is going to be, how can a fan base for concept art love what was produced by the writers and artists and storyboarders and something more than the studio loves the movie?
Yeah, and
how?
All of the stuff that they made for the movie, it's all on the clearance rack. And we're not saying that just to tear down the studio. There have been pictures online, multiple pictures of Wish-themed merchandise in the clearance rack.
I've seen some at the dollar store.
Yeah, and at one at a shoe store, they just had some Asha dolls there just so they could sell them off somewhere. And the only thing that's selling is the art book, which is why it's almost $30. Everything else, unless a couple kids made me want some, or I see some adults that are really passionate about Disney and love everything that comes out, there's no bad movie to them, they buy some of the merch. But clearly it's not enough to save it or to prove a point like there's a fan base for equal amount. Yes, there are some people that like the movie we got, but they don't outweigh the ones that love the concept art more and making their own animations. They're not getting paid. They're doing this on their own free time and their own dime and their own artwork to make stuff for the concept.
Absolutely.
So to me, it just shows that when something really has talent put into it, even when it doesn't get released, it still can make an impact on people, because this is the most we've seen people make fan art and content for something and it's not even the final product.
The original Wish movie had a destiny. It was supposed to be made. It was meant to be. All the stars aligned, like to use Disney formula. All the stars aligned, everything aligned, everything was perfect when you see that. Now, of course, you got some people who don't want romance. Okay,
fine,
that's a matter of choice, and that's fine. I respect you're not wanting it. But in the confines of this original concept and what it was meant to be, and it was meant to be a romance.
Yes.
Everything was perfect in the line, from the artwork to the animatics to the stand-ins or fill-ins for the voice acting. They were so perfect they didn't have to get any stars. This movie would have made it with all the people that originally were doing the storyboarding, the voice acting, the original songwriters should have just sang the songs. They should have never had other people singing them. I've never seen anything be perfection this close from the beginning and not get made.
So much so that we even read from a few pages that a few of these artists say they were having visions of what to draw or what to paint for like plays like the Hamlet or Roses for the characters. And it's actually the first time I've ever seen that in, I'll say, any art book. Not even just Disney. Any art book in general. I've never heard of somebody having visions of what to make. And to me, it just sounds like this was always the plan and what this movie was supposed to be for the world.
It was from the universe. And the Disney exec said,
nope.
People give a
like you kicked the puppet.
Disney kicked the puppet. They kicked the Star Boy. And we're still voting.
So, it's a little longer than usual, but haven't done one of these reviews or in-depth videos in a while. Got quite a bit with Superhero Month, but I think it's something we want to discuss because a lot of people thought Wish was going to die down, and so did we. Like, okay, we'll just enjoy what we can. But the stuff's still going.
I didn't.
There's still reviews going for what's wrong with the movie in great detail. Still people making fanmatics, fan arts, rewrites, fan arts for those fan rewrites, and petitions and pushes to get the original version out there, the storyboard, or remake the film in the form it was supposed to be. I don't know what any of these versions are going to come about. Something's going to give at one point. I don't know what, but there's clearly, this is something that's not going away. And it's something you just had to bring up. And glad you're joining me for this, especially since the first person I told about this when it came to first learning about the concept stuff. Because I remember I showed you the song and stuff and the artwork. And it's like, oh, well, originally it was supposed to be a teenage boy. And then you looked and you said, what was wrong with this? He was too powerful, I guess. He did too much. Well, I don't do nothing.
Well,
great.
Starboard couldn't be more powerful than Disney execs.
So thanks for showing up for this. I'm really glad you got to join me again finally.
Thank you for having me. Of all things, Wish concept art and the Starboy.
Yes. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and click notifications on updates on more videos, whether it be spoofs or more Rascal reviews. And be sure to visit SoFab's channel to see her own reviews and other types of stuff.
Yes, you're welcome. Always. My specials.
Right. So thanks so much for watching. I'm Rascal.
I'm Julie.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.